Linda.
How's it going? I'm Carlos McCray.
Hi, Carlos. Let's start with the basics. So we're here on our Gerontology YouTube channel, and our purpose of our YouTube channel is to introduce students and the community to local community leaders and talk about gerontology and also what projects you're working on.
Name's Carlos McCray. My title is the CEO of the Dojo Cafe, and then I also am an adjunct faculty at both San Diego State and Cuyamaca Community College. You know, the funny thing about that is Google Calendar. Keep it simple. If it's not in my calendar, it doesn't happen. Outside of that, I just am in the moment, and I trust that things will happen as they do, and we'll see what goes, we'll just see what happens. I feel like my purpose, the reason for my existence, is to help highlight the playing field that we all live on, the human experience. This world isn't necessarily set up so that equality and equity are a part of the equation. And having been a social worker out here since 2006, in and out of homes, I realize a lot of people don't even understand what they're up against. They don't understand the system that they're a part of. And I just want to try to illuminate some of the shortcomings and the pitfalls and help them and encourage them to achieve whatever their dreams are, right? Because people who are hurting, that are struggling either emotionally or especially financially, where they're trying to make ends meet and they're literally focused on the next meal, a lot of times it seems they forgot how to dream. They forgot what they wanted to be when they're 12, 14, and because they don't really have, it seems that they don't have the space. They feel like they don't have the space or the time for it. And I would just love to encourage them to try to give themselves some time to think of those things so that maybe they can work towards it and get themselves out of their situation. So I got my master's in social work in 2011 from San Diego State, and that basically just changed my life because it exposed me to a lot of different things that I didn't know existed, and different opportunities that I didn't know were out there. It illuminated the playing field that I was here trying to illuminate for other people, and it gave me tools and skills and resources and a network to help continue to do the work to follow my North Star. The Dojo Cafe is a coffee shop built on coffee culture and community. The idea behind it is to create a model for sustainable change that doesn't rely on grant funding or somebody's generosity, but instead creates similar to the consensus organizing model, in that it creates mutually beneficial partnerships with everybody involved. Conscious capitalism is kind of like that too. And so the whole idea of the Dojo Cafe is we're a coffee shop that happens to sell coffee, but what we're here for is for the people in the community, creating a safe place for everybody, so that as the dojo is translated in Japanese, it means a place of the way. So we want to be a place where people find their way.
Nice. And I heard you once describe this area as an example of placemaking advocacy. Can you tell us what that means?
Well, this is a unique location because on that side of El Cajon Boulevard, the socioeconomic status is vastly different than on this side of the El Cajon Boulevard. And so this serves as kind of a bridge to where they could connect. And placemaking, from what I have learned and incorporated into my practice, is placemaking is essentially the same that we're trying to do, maybe a little less intentional on the social work aspect, but just as much intentional on creating a space. Doesn't even necessarily have to be a safe space or a blank and blank space, but a space for people to utilize in whichever way that you're trying to create the intention for it to be used. And so this space has been created to help with economic growth, help startups start businesses, and to host events. They would either need to contact us or City Heights Community Development Corporation. Most people come through us, and then we help them navigate and understand what an event looks like here, what it could look like, and some of the fees associated with it, but we don't really set the fees. CHCDC sets the fees and some of the terms and conditions along with Price, who owns the lot. But our role is to help facilitate and help whoever wants to host an event figure out how to make that a part of the mission for Price Charities and the placemaking of this space. Music events and events that have components of it in which humans could connect, like forced kind of pre-thought out methods of people who haven't met each other to connect in a safe way. I think that the Little Saigon stories put on by the Adjunct Project and the Media Arts Center, among others, is a true example of human connection and the importance of people, right? The genuine value of all people, no matter what age, gender, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or where you're from. And so the Little Saigon community is just right up the street, but a lot of people, have misconceptions about it, and maybe are afraid to go into the stores because the English isn't spoken as well there, or it has a different smell when you walk into some of the Vietnamese stores and restaurants as opposed to walking into like a Ralph's or a Trader Joe's. And so, it's like the unknown, and I find that people often fear the unknown, unfortunately, because of misunderstandings that they've been taught or that they've experienced. Well, so what's sad is in most other countries, elders are seen as wise, and they're revered as people of great prominence and status, especially when you think about the history of the human civilization and our population. People didn't live that old. So if you happen to somehow live to be, way back in the day, if you lived to be 60, it was like, whoa, you've seen a lot more than other people, because other people were dying at 30 and 40. And so there's that history of the elder population. In America, unfortunately, it seems many times that, our goal is for the elders to be able to be self-sufficient and live on their own and not be a burden to their children. Also, what ends up happening is we have retirement communities that are, take up seriously square miles. And so we isolate our elders many times, and that is unfortunate, and it's probably one of the saddest things that we could do as a country, to have that be a part of like the American, that we could even be associated with that. Because so many immigrants and refugees that come here are people who are firstborn Americans, and so on and so forth. They live with their moms and dads and grandmas still. They help with child rearing and taking care and passing down knowledge and wisdom and storytelling. And we need that. That's part of connection, right? We are social creatures and beings, and part of where we get our social cues and guidance from, not to say that it's always the most healthy cues and guidance, but is from those that are from our family, however we define family. Think about, you see these ads talking about, oh, you have wrinkles, put on this cream, get rid of your gray hairs and blah, blah, blah. 50's, the new 40. And it's always about this perceived drive for a fountain of youth. But to what end? You know what I mean? We're all gonna die. And people are, again, it's another misconception. Like, people are so afraid of death. But at the same time, they may be working at jobs that they don't want to work at every day, right? And they're just waiting for retirement. Well, what age do you think you're going to be when you retire from that job? You're going to be old. You know what I'm saying? And so ageism in America at least I think is very subtle, but rampant. And we just don't have a culture of respecting elders or respecting the knowledge that comes with the passing of years. And I think what it ends up happening is our senior population is really put down by it, and in some ways left out to live out their lives in a way that maybe I don't think we're supposed to be living. Yeah, that was like a fluke positivity movement. Or I guess there's no such thing as a fluke, but when I was working at the county around a bunch of social workers who spoke of better days and stressed out. And so people had asked why I was so optimistic and happy. And I think it's because I hadn't been jaded. I was fresh. I was a young guy, the rookie. And so I started making these hats with the smiley face to give out to people, to remind them, like, happiness can be a choice. You know what I mean? You could choose to focus on what you don't want to do, or you could focus on the impact that you're having or the things that you enjoy. And kind of it started with recognizing that people in the office were so happy on Fridays or right before a vacation. And I'm like, but your job is the same that it was all the other time you're complaining about it, but right now it seems like it's cool. But nothing changed. You know what I mean? Nothing literally changed about your job. And so that got me on this path of happiness as a choice.
That's what I like taking. That's what I like about taking your classes, because you talk about human connection. You talk about positivity and attitudes and careers, and get a lot of career insight. What is your favorite part about being a professor?
My favorite part about being a professor is that I get the opportunity to impart some of my experience and the authors of the books and so on and so forth knowledge with, is they are my future. You know, if I could have any part of empowering the future generation to become better than what we currently are, and to stand for equality and social justice and maybe not fairness, because the world is an interesting place, but pursuit of, I don't know, wholesome happiness, not at the expense of others, then, man, that's like a dream to me that I didn't know I had until I started doing it. Because future, whether they're in gerontology, physicists, social workers, mathematicians, scientists, teachers, they literally shape what's to come, as do we, but they're gonna shape the next what's to come, right? And I don't want that to be a world full of global warming and racism. Try everything that you possibly can. Don't be afraid of sticking your head through an opportunities window. See what that's like, test it out. You could always do something else. And trying is what's gonna help you grow. And you know, I haven't been around that long. I'm only 36, but I really feel like there actually is no destination when it comes to like the human experience. There is only the journey. And so that you want to be a specific type of social worker and you've never tried it, I'm not entirely sure. I hope you guessed right, because it's going to be a guess until you actually do it. So I say try, do internships and things that make you uncomfortable, because that's what makes you grow. Work with populations that you've never worked with before, because you never know what your next favorite thing's going to be until you try it. I feel like there's not enough of them. Like true intergenerational programs, I think they're a challenge to develop and create and to maintain, because of the differences in maybe speed, values. Kids now transition from things so fast, you know, the ability to swipe away from something that you're not interested in 5 seconds, you know, is offensive to an old person. right? Somebody who's been around, who had to hustle and grind and sit through things that took forever, you know, even dial-up internet, you know, having to sit there, like the idea that I sat through that makes me more patient, but kids are losing their patience, and so are we the more we get involved with the speed of technology. And so intergenerational programming, I think, is vital to ground us, the future generation, and to bring the aging generation into the benefits of technology in today's times. But then also to remind us of a lot of the problems that we're running into and the challenges we're running into. It's not the first time we've seen them. It's not. They just look different now, right? And we need their education and wisdom. I feel like people don't mobilize until they understand what they're mobilizing for. And so I think it's a lot easier to mobilize young people to advocate for social justice when they've been on the unfortunate dark side of social injustice. And so maybe that's where you start. You hit the people whose hearts have already felt it, and you educate them on, like, yo, that's not cool that you just get stopped and frisked and harassed like I used to as a kid. You know, when I was a kid, I didn't understand that wasn't supposed to be happening, quote unquote, but it was, you know, and it wasn't until I was older that I was educated and aware, like, we should be able to play football and not be harassed by cops every day. And so you educating people that the status quo of life and the abuse and the oppression that they're living within and under does not have to be their future, does not have to be their tomorrow, and they can do something about it, and that they're not alone, that there's people who are going to help them and they can feel safe while doing it. I think that's a funny topic because that's like educating a youth about credit, this thing that exists but doesn't exist, right? It's not tangible, but if you ain't got it, you can't buy nothing. Again, it would come from education of they would need to understand how it ties back to their life, right? That when people learn, it's because they have either a curiosity about it or they somehow understand it's directly related to their journey. They would benefit a lot if they understood Social Security, the system, how it plays a role in American economics, and the same with healthcare. You're going to need to understand about health insurance and health in general. I'd ask, what is there to prepare for if you really are just trying to be the best you every day? You're going to age whether you like it or not. And there's some of it that you can't control. You don't know when a hamstring's going to tear, or your hip's going to go out, or you're going to start losing your vision, or you're going to, your metabolism's going to slow down. You could guess. But if you're really trying to be the best you that you could be every day, including your nutrition and physical fitness and stretching and financial responsibility and all that, then what is there really to prepare for when you're already prepared, So it's maybe not instilling the fear of when you're older you may be broke, but like, could you be living in a manner that's within your means now so that you won't ever probably have to worry about being old. You will just be old and you'll be able to accommodate whatever that is. Question everything, but at the same time understand that whatever it is, the knowledge that you are learning, most likely will be used in some way, shape, or form in your future, even if it's just one tiny little bit of it in one situation, right? There's no prescription for how to resolve any solution or situation or problem, but the reality is that we have to take all of what we've learned and all of our experiences and keep that in our tool belt to handle what's to come and whatever that may be. And don't be afraid to talk about your dreams and share your dreams. We live in a fear-based world, I think, often, where people don't want to talk about their dreams because they're afraid somebody's going to steal it. It's your dream. I mean, even if somebody replicates the exact thing that you wanted to do, learn from that and then go do the next thing. Like, it's okay. it's gonna be okay. But we gotta actively be living for something, as opposed to be waiting around for anything, or to be dead set on something that may or may not be the end all, right? I know people who thought they wanted to be doctors, lawyers, school counselors, social workers, financial accountants, whatever, and they get there and they're like, oh, dang it. But then they stay because they feel like, well, this is the choice I made way back then. No, if it's not it, change your mind. Go do something else, and don't be afraid.
Thank you. That sounds like really good advice. Those are all the questions that I have for you.
Yeah, no problem.
If any students want to contact you, how can they?
They come to the dojo. And yeah, stay positive.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.